the one player they were going to sign was Cristiano Ronaldo. We better move on to the other half of Manchester.
Do we have
to? We've had these conversations a lot, haven't we? The Solskjaer United, really, as to what the structure is. Is it just reliance on the high-quality players to win you a game because they can do individually? And they've come up short. I commentated on the Villarreal game, and they were very lucky to win that game. You know, Cristiano Ronaldo did what he can do. He wrote another fairy story into his book. But where are they? We're a week on since we last talked about them, and it's the same, isn't it?
We're no different. We haven't got the Champions League, as you know, and I'm sat at home watching that game against Villarreal the other night. And ordinarily, when Manchester United score in the last minute in the Champions League, I'll ordinarily raise a glass of wine and try and do something a little bit tricky on Instagram or social media to wind the masses up. I couldn't do it. On Wednesday night, that goal went in, and I thought that was a really poor performance, and that's going to catch you out. And my immediate thought was, Everton will do you on Saturday. That was my immediate thought after Villarreal. And that's why I didn't tweet out, because I just felt disappointed that Villarreal are a good team, don't get me wrong, but the ability to counter-attack so many times, create so many chances, that cannot happen. And I've been in that home dressing room at Old Trafford and on that pitch a lot over a 15, 20-year period. And there were periods where teams would counter-attack against us in seasons. And in those seasons, you don't win the league. I'm telling you now, and that's why I said it 4 weeks ago, if you can't sustain attacks at Old Trafford and you're letting teams penetrate back through you on the counter-attack, you ain't winning that league. Because those players will tell you that they're in the dressing room. They won't tell us, actually, because I can tell you exactly what they're thinking. Having to run back to your own goal at Old Trafford when you've tried an attack and it's end-to-end is not the way in which you go about winning a trophy. A league trophy. So they're going to get caught out. And I thought Everton would do them on the counter-attack. I thought Rafa Benitez would know exactly what he was going to do. They'd had a free week, and I thought Everton would win that game on Saturday. I watched the game yesterday, and it didn't surprise me. It surprised me that Everton didn't win. I thought they would go and win. Because you have to stop counter-attack. You have to sustain attacks, and you have to keep the team penned in. Pep Guardiola, over the years, people will talk about his football, his possession, his points, but he sustains attacks, as do Jurgen Klopp's team. They push up the pitch and they have a way of being able to ring the box when they're attacking so that the other team can't get out. Manchester United don't do that. They let teams counter-attack through them all the time. So why is that? Maybe they've got too many attacking players on the pitch. Maybe the attacking players they've got on the pitch aren't alert enough to what's going on, and they aren't smart enough to be able to spot the danger in the game. But something's got to change. And the first thing that I said a few days ago was, I think Ole is going to have to pick a team that plays in the league. When I've seen Jose Mourinho, even Sir Alex Ferguson going back 20 years, but Jose Mourinho trying to win it and form a team at Chelsea, Pep Guardiola trying to form a team at Manchester City, and Jurgen Klopp trying to form a team at Liverpool, they keep a settled 11 as much as possible and let that team build. Ole at the moment is rotating like Sir Alex Ferguson used to, because he's got access to so many players. He's almost picking different teams every game, and there are 4 or 5 changes. That has got to stop now. And I hope that this international break is a time, obviously, for Manchester United to reflect, for Ole and his coaching team to reflect. He's got to pick a way of playing, which he has. He's got the 4-2-3-1. He's got to select an 11, understand that you will have injuries, and you might want to refresh it once or twice. But he's got to pick a team in the league and let that team build an identity, build a style, because you keep changing 3 or 4. That's the only thing that I can suggest at this moment in time, because the style and identity isn't there. And they do win games in moments and play in moments. And I said that last weekend, and I said it 4 or 5 weeks ago. And the other thing I would say is, Cristiano Ronaldo needs players around him who are going to work really hard defensively. That was the same in 2008, by the way. So in 2008, Ji-sung Park and Darren Fletcher and Owen Hargreaves and Wayne Rooney and Carlos Tevez, they all worked like Trojans to make up for Cristiano in terms of what he was doing. He went to Barcelona in 2008 in the semi-final. The manager sticks Cristiano Ronaldo up top. He puts Wayne Rooney on the wing with Ji-sung Park and gets them to double up and work really hard in a 4-4-2 with Carlos Tevez just dropping in on Busquets. And I was watching that game yesterday thinking to myself, well, if Cristiano's playing, and the same on Wednesday night, you've got to put players in around him who are going to forgive the fact that he isn't going to press from the front. He isn't going to run hard. He isn't going to close people down. You're almost carrying a player when you're out of possession. But we were 10 years ago, 12 years ago, but you forgive that because of his greatness and his ability to win games. And my view on it would be to pick a group of players around Cristiano Ronaldo, whether that's Cavani as well up front, who works hard, and play Cristiano just a little bit off him to the left, which is where I think he likes to play. And then around that, you just get some really hard-working, whether that's the great players in the squad, the talented players in the squad, or whether that's some dogs like Jesse Lingard and players like that. You know, for Jesse Lingard today, you've got Ji-sung Park and players like that years ago. The best players don't make the best team. That's why I had a career at Manchester United. It's why Darren Fletcher, Nicky Butt, Ji-sung Park, Owen Hargreaves, and players like that ilk had careers at Manchester United because you need soldiers alongside the generals that you've got. And Manchester United have got a lot of generals, but unless those generals are going to start working hard, they ain't going to win anything. And then Ole will be in trouble. So Ole's got to look after himself, and that might mean that he has to upset some players that have got maybe nice price tags and they've got lovely reputations and they look great on the team sheet, but they ain't going to win you anything if you don't have a group of players that are going to work hard out of possession, because Manchester United are a million miles away from what I've seen here today. Let's be really clear. They're nothing like these two teams, but they could be if they get a group of players out on the pitch that complement each other. And at the moment, there's far too many of the same type.
What did you make of Ronaldo stalking off at the end, having been brought on as a substitute, and the game going away? They didn't win the game. It didn't seem to fit in with perhaps what conventional watching of football. You don't see players. It seemed a personal statement rather than a statement for the team. Am I being unfair by saying that?
No, you're not being unfair. I watched the game. I watched him walk off. I can't say I like it, because I think that when you're... Look, is Cristiano upset when he doesn't play? Yes. Is Cristiano upset when he doesn't score? Yes. Is Cristiano annoyed as hell when the team don't win? Of course. We know those things. He doesn't have to prove that. So he walked off the pitch muttering to himself, which in some ways throws the sort of questions up in the air. What's he saying? Who's he annoyed with? And it can only come back to the manager. So I do think actions like that, Cristiano's smart enough to know that will bring real pressure on the manager, more pressure than he's already under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. It is what it is, but I think that that's just something that just has to be managed in the next couple of months. Cristiano's not always going to score. He maybe can't play every single game. But I think if he's going to walk off like that, it's going to put immense pressure on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, more pressure than he's already under. And there's no doubt the talk after the game yesterday was about the manager. You know, he's got these collection of players. They haven't got a style of play. They haven't got this. They haven't got that.
He didn't pick Ronaldo.
He didn't pick Ronaldo. But, look, the worst that can happen for me with Ole is that he's been an incredible bridge from, I think, not a dark period for the club, but a period where the club lost its identity and it lost its way. There is no doubt the club lost its way in reaction to Sir Alex Ferguson's leaving the club for a 5, 6, 7 year period. Ole has returned some of the values back to the club, where there are a group of players there who I think do want to play for the club. I do think that the signings have been a lot more like Manchester United would sign. I do now, though, think with the signing of Cristiano Ronaldo, Sancho and Varane, and I want to mention Sancho a little bit at the end of this podcast, or maybe not the end of it, but certainly at the end of this Manchester United section. I do think with those players signed, they're recognised world-class talents, and with that comes a pressure to deliver. And when I said last week it was make or break for Ole, I mean that he knows that. I think he said it in his press conference. He said, I speak a lot, Gary Neville, but I also think he recognised he does have to win. You have to win a trophy when you're 3, 4 years in and you've got players like that. So I think he has to look after himself, Ole. I think he has to be selfish. I think he has to make sure that he manages Cristiano in such a way, and he will do. He's managed Paul Pogba for the last couple of years pretty well, Ole. I think he'll have a word with Cristiano and say, look, come on, you know, if we're going to do that, let's do it in the changing room, because ultimately you doing that on the pitch does bring that extra pressure. He has got a massive reputation, and I don't think it would have helped Ole in that situation. But on the other hand, Cristiano's not going to be, you know, he's not a sheep either. He's not just going to follow and say, oh, I'm not going to show anything. He will demonstrate, I think, his dislike and his lack of happiness with that situation.